What's up, guys? Welcome to this week's episode of the GrowingAU Show, where we are going over the stock market's winners and losers to help you determine and find the best place to have your money work for you in the stock market, because after all, the best way to have your money work for you is to know how your money works. I'm your host, John Knott, as always, from GrowingAU.com, ready to bring you an awesome episode today. We're going to be kind of talking about Tesla a little bit, or possibly even more directly, one of Tesla's most promising competitors. We're going to be talking about something that could be happening here over the next couple weeks, coming into early June, that could be proposing a new competitor in the electric car market and a new competitor for Tesla. This video and stock review was requested by our viewer in the comment section below, so thanks for requesting. Here we are. As always, if you want to have a certain stock reviewed, definitely drop us a comment along with a like, share, subscribe, turn that post notifications so you're always ready for awesome videos like this one. But without further ado, let's roll that intro and jump on into the episode. So as we always say, all the information talked about in today's episode will be contained in our stock guide sheet that can be found on our website at growingau.com or on our email list. You can subscribe to that below. You'll also get a free share in Robinhood by subscribing to that email list. So thank you if you decide to do that. What is this company? Who are these new possible competitors to Tesla? Does Elon Musk need to be worried? Do Tesla investors need to be worried? What's going on? Well, the company we're going to be talking about today is something referred to as a blank check company. And that company's name is VectoIQ. Now, this is a company I had never heard of before it was proposed by one of our viewers to review the company. But what actually I found out was that this company is actually getting a little bit of traction recently. There's been multiple videos posted on this company. And the big thing that I have wanted to address this company is because within the last month, they have grown 90.68% in the last month. This company, this VectoIQ, this merger company. So we're going to be talking a little bit about how they're going to be competing with Tesla, a major merger that's going to be happening with VectoIQ in the near future that's going to put them in direct competition with Tesla, and talking about what it could mean for investors and shareholders. But first, as we always do, we need to look at some of the numbers regarding the stock. So VectoIQ is at $22.31. Their annual high at $35.38, with an annual low at $9.92, a PE ratio of 373.27, a volume of 12.93 million, an average volume of 11.14 million, a market cap of 670.46 million. The other thing I want to say is VectoIQ IPO'd in 2018, so they've only been on the market for a short while now, but they've had some incredible growth in that time. What we saw was that they IPO'd right about $9.90 and kind of were traded sideways for a while, only going up a couple cents, down a couple cents, stuff like that. And then in recent days, they have skyrocketed, as we saw, 90.68% in the last month, up to a annual high of $35.38, all the way down from about $9, $10. So really incredible growth seen by VectoIQ in the last couple months here. Let's take a look though, what has their returns look like? So if we look at the last month, they've risen a total of $10.61, that's 90.68%. Looking at the last year, it's $12.26, or 121.99%. And then finally in the last 5 years, which obviously we know they've only been on the market for 2, but in their overall time period on the market, it's been $12.74, which is a total of 131.12% increase. Really rapid gains in a very short period of time for VectoIQ. As we said, trading sideways for about 2 years and now all of a sudden seeing rapid growth. But VectoIQ, they're a merger company, they're a blank check company. How does that compete with Tesla? Well, we're going to jump into that right now. So this is actually being described by an article, 2 articles we're going to look at today. Both of these articles are from NASDAQ.com. However, they're both written by individuals over at the Motley Fool. So that's what we're going to be pulling today to talk about VectoIQ. And I want to talk about one article that was written about early last week that talked about this surge in their stock, and then something that happened to their stock later in the week that we need to talk about as well. So these kind of articles complement each other and they come right after each other sequentially. So that's the way we're going to go through it. VectoIQ is a holding company, right? And they're led by former General Motors Vice President Steve Gursky. And it's drawn a lot of attention recently from investors. And the reason that's gotten so much attention in recent days is because of a coming merger with Nikola Motors. And to be fair, that's where the real investment interest is here with Nikola Motors, because Nikola Motors is going to be a direct competitor with Tesla. This will be the first time going public through VectoIQ. And what they do is they produce large-scale battery-powered trucking. They aim to launch a battery-powered electric heavy truck by the end of next year. And this is, the company's developing 2 types of electric trucks as well. One of them being a hydrogen fuel cell and the other one by batteries, using a proprietary new battery technology developed by that company. It also has an electric pickup truck design that's on the drawing board, and what they're doing is they're seeking to find an automaker partner to really allow that to come into production. So Nikola is a electric car company just like Tesla, but of course they're focusing more on the heavy trucking, the semis, right? The class 8 trucks, stuff like that, not so much the civilian cars like Tesla's focusing on. But as we do see, they're going to be possibly in direct competition with Tesla, because Tesla has their new, I believe it's the Cybertruck, and now we have the pickup truck that is being proposed by Nikola in the next couple years. But Nikola, it's a company not a lot of people have heard of, but as soon as they talked about merging with VectoIQ, that's when VectoIQ stock soared. A lot of people obviously being more interested in Nikola stock and using VectoIQ as kind of a proxy as they wait for Nikola to become public. And that's actually important to talk about. This merger with Nikola and VectoIQ is set to happen about June 2nd during a shareholder voting meeting. After that meeting, assuming the merger goes through, which is likely, VectoIQ will now be represented as NKLA in the stock market, taking Nikola's name. Honestly, Nikola has been getting a lot of traction recently, not pun intended there, with their new tractor trailers. 14,000 pre-orders of their new battery trucks, and that represents around $10 billion in potential revenue for the company. So really on June 2nd, all eyes are going to be on VectoIQ and Nikola to see whether or not that merger is going to go through. It is highly likely, and as we said, then at that point VectoIQ will be no more, and it will just be Nikola trading in the market. And as we said, that's why all the investors are trading VectoIQ stock as proxy for Nikola stock. So really what needs to be taken into account here is that yes, VectoIQ right now is doing really well, but ultimately it has nothing to do with the intrinsic value of VectoIQ. It has to do with this merger and the value that is proposed by Nikola stock. So really, if you're investing in VectoIQ, what you're actually going to be investing in right now, or why the share price is rising so high, is because really what investors are investing in is Nikola stock. Because obviously, comparative to about the $700-800 Tesla stock, Nikola stock being much lower, trading at about $20, it provides a great place for investors to get in and start competing in this electric car market. But the question really becomes, though, is Nikola, with their proposed electric semi-trucks, their proposed electric pickup truck, is any of that actually going to be able to compete with Tesla? What's going to happen there? Well, we thought so, right? That's why the stock soared so much. But what's the actual likelihood of that competition going through? We need to take a look at the article that was written a few days later. Again, by NASDAQ.com with the Motley Fool. VectoIQ stock opened sharply lower on Thursday after a Reuters report that Tesla released a new concept for a low-cost electric vehicle battery technology, which is the same technology that Nikola will be putting into their trucks. So it's going to be in direct competition. And VectoIQ shares were down 13.2% from the Wednesday's closing price. So they dropped sharply in the after-hours trading. And what's worrying investors is that Tesla has a lot of capital. They have a lot of the infrastructure put in place. Not to say that Nikola doesn't, but Tesla has a lot at their disposal. And they're worried that if Tesla decides to really begin to pursue the battery-powered semis, and also they've already pursued the Cybertruck, once those two things come into play, is Nikola going to be able to compete in that market, or are they just going to end up being obsolete to Tesla's more advanced infrastructure? Now, the thing we have to consider here is that Elon Musk also promised a whole fleet of smart taxis by the end of 2020, and that didn't happen. So whether or not Tesla's actually going to be able to enter the smart semi-truck market, it's kind of hard to say. What's kind of looking at right now is I bet you a lot of this was launched because of the fact that Nikola stock was getting so much publicity. Tesla decided to come out and release a statement like, no, we're doing it too, so don't lose faith in us. And of course, Tesla has a lot of loyal followers. So what it's going to mean for Nikola, it's kind of hard to say. As far as whether or not you need to go and invest in VectoIQ right now, because it looks very promising. I mean, jumping from $9 up to about $30 and now trading in the mid-20s in about less than a month. But should you invest? Well, looking at an article from Seeking Alpha, it says that investors should abstain from chasing the shares at current levels and rather wait for the public float to increase substantially following the anticipated close of the transaction next month. I think what that is saying there is that they're expecting that the stock price will grow substantially after all of the deals have been finalized, and understanding that everything that's happening right now is very volatile, just because there's a lot of stuff that's happening that isn't yet set in stone. Is the company going to actually merge? Will the merger go through? What's going to happen? We don't know that right now. So there's a lot of speculative growth happening with VectoIQ stock. I mean, because let's be honest, in less than a month from now, VectoIQ stock may no longer even exist. It'll now be Nikola stock. So a lot's happening right now. It could present a wonderful opportunity for investors, but I think what is being kind of widely accepted right now is we need to wait and see what actually happens here. Wait till the merger goes through and then decide whether or not Nikola is a company that you want to invest in. And don't worry about the surges with VectoIQ, because this is just part of a merger. So I think that's pretty smart. I think jumping on this just because we're seeing some rapid growth and, oh my gosh, I need to get in before I lose out or something like that, isn't necessarily a smart way to invest. So I think what we need to do is wait, see what happens with this merger. Decide maybe you want to put a couple dollars in there. After all, trading at $22 a share, you want to maybe buy a couple of shares before the merger, see what happens, make a little bit of money. That's up to you. Whether or not that's a smart investing strategy, that just depends on the person, right? So I think you have to look at what's your personal investment strategy, what is your risk, and what are you willing to take on. And then you have to decide whether or not Nikola is a company that you want to invest in, because ultimately that's who you're going to be investing in. It has nothing to do at this point, in my opinion, with VectoIQ. So that's my opinion on that. I want to thank our follower that commented to have us review VectoIQ. I appreciate that. Thank you for doing so. I hope that you found this useful. I hope everyone else found this useful. If you did, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications, drop us a like. It'll help with the YouTube algorithm. And please comment down below. Let me know, do you think Nikola stock is going to take off? Do you think they're going to be able to compete with Tesla? And what are your thoughts on VectoIQ and this merger? Tell me your thoughts down below. Always remember the email list in the description where you'll get your free stock on Robinhood and our stock guide sheet, as well as all of our ebooks listed below for your viewing and education pleasure. So thanks for watching today, everybody. I appreciate every single one of you. Thanks for helping us grow GrowingAU, and we'll see you in the next one.